Hi everyone, this is Phil Travis, and this week's announcement is for Week 2, American History Part 1. The primary purpose of this announcement is to inform you on a really easy and fun extra credit assignment that we'll be doing throughout the term. But before I do that, let me just mention a few other things. So first of all, we do have a quiz this week, and the quiz is on an aspect of our weekly reading. So make sure you check out readings and assignments for this week so that you can see what our weekly reading assignment is and also specifically what the quiz will be dealing with. The quiz, you can use your book, you can use your notes, of course. It's not intended to be really hard. You should do the reading early in the week and then take the quiz, Friday or Saturday, the weekend sometime, or Sunday for that matter. So we have a quiz this week. We also, of course, have our graded discussion, as always. Remember, on the discussion forum, remember to post once or reply by Thursday. What I want to see on the discussion forum is I want to see 2 days of activity with 1 post and 2 replies. Now, I want it to start by Thursday at the latest. You could, of course, do it on Monday if you wanted to. But what I want to see is I want to see you active in the discussion forum earlier. I don't want to see you just leave the discussion forum till the end of the week. That's why I want 2 separate days. You don't have to feel like your first post has to be this amazing, essay. It could be a reply. The first thing you did could be a reply, or your post could be more brief. I just want to see that you're active and that you're involved in having a conversation. Make sure you make 1 post and 2 replies over the course of the week. Make sure that this involves activity over 2 separate days starting Thursday for full credit. Last week was the first week, and so anybody who was active in the discussion forum at all, I'm going to give full points. But after every subsequent week, I'm going to hold you to that standard. I want to see 2 separate days of activity starting by Thursday. So make sure you fulfill those requirements. So also, of course, we're reading this week. I have a primary source reading. It's very short. That's in modules. That'll probably help you with some of that material for the discussion forum as well. But the primary reading comes from our textbook, Give Me Liberty. So make sure you check out readings and assignments in the modules area for week 2 to see that reading. These videos, and now to the extra credit, these videos, these announcements that I do, the reason that I do them is because I think it adds a sort of, a different dimension to the class. It gives you a visual of me. It helps me interact with you by being able to visually explain to you what's coming up during the week. I use these announcements to give you tips on tests. I'll give you hints. I give you this extra credit. I explain a lot of things through these videos, and so I want you to watch these videos because it's going to help you in the class. The best thing, because these videos are supposed to be really the announcements, the first thing you watch during the week. So I want you to watch them ideally before Wednesday of each week. And so the extra credit that I'm offering you is to get you involved in the class earlier in the week rather than leave it all to the weekend. Because if you start engaging the class material earlier in the week, you, I think, will get the material, better, and then you'll do better on tests, and you do better on papers and everything. And you'll get extra credit, and you get all the hints that I give you, and I think it adds a nice extra dimension to an online course. The extra credit assignment is really easy. All it is each week when I do these announcements, and I do one every week, each week by Wednesday, no later than Wednesday. You can do it Monday, you can do it Tuesday, you can do it Sunday night. I always open up the classes on Sunday. Just watch the announcement, and in the announcement, I'm going to give you a factoid, a historical factoid. All you have to do is email me no later than Wednesday by midnight. Email me the gist of what that factoid was. And then each time you do that, it will be worth 1 bonus point added to a test score at the end of the term. So hopefully everybody will do all of them. But let's just make up a number here. If you did 10 of them during the term, or 8 of them during the term, that would be 8 bonus points. added to a test score. So if you had a 78 on a test, you're like, man, I'd have an A if it wasn't for that 78. 10 points added to that 78 might be the difference, because these bonus points, if you do all of the extra credit assignments, are worth 3 to 4 percentage points on a final grade at the end of the term. So if you do every one, you get a bonus point added on a test score at the end of the term for every one of those. So they add up, and then they're added to a test score at the end of the term. All you have to do is email me the factoid. Just email me the gist by Wednesday night. I check your name, and 1 bonus point gets tabulated for you for the test. You do all for a test score at the end of the term. You do all of them at the end of the term. I add them all up, and I bump up your test score by the amount of bonus points you have for these extra credit factoids. And even if you had 100 on a test, you still get the bonus points, which might pull up other aspects of the grade if you weren't doing as well on other things. So anyway, we're getting kind of long here, so here's the factoid. And this is also kind of a hint for another aspect of class discussion. It's on the test. It's also relevant to material for the quiz this week. This week, one of the things we're looking at is Bacon's Rebellion, which was a rebellion in the Chesapeake, colonial Chesapeake, Virginia, led by a guy named Nathaniel Bacon. And it was a rebellion where you basically saw the Chesapeake more or less dominated by large plantation farmers, and it was still a very small colony. And so small farmers were in great debt. There were many freed individuals who had come over as indentured servants who had no land. And so Nathaniel Bacon led this rebellion. They burned Jamestown, and they led this rebellion to try to force the colonial government to open up lands that were by treaty pledged to be Native American lands. And so there was a treaty that the colonial government had put in place to avoid war with Native Americans. There was a treaty put in place that said that the European colonists would not encroach on Native American land. And because it was considered to be potentially good farmland, Nathaniel Bacon led a group of rebellious colonial subjects that needed land to become competitive farmers, and they led a rebellion in the colony to try to force the colonial government to open up those lands to plantation farming in the Chesapeake. Bacon ultimately dies, and his followers are killed in the rebellion. But the rebellion marks, and this is the real factoid, the rebellion marks a really significant shift in the Chesapeake or Virginia colony. It marks the real shift away from the usage of indentured servants from Europe as a primary labor source to the widespread use of slavery in the colonies. So slavery existed in the 1600s in the Chesapeake, but it wasn't the sole form of labor. By the 1700s, Chesapeake society is what you might call a slave society. In the 1600s, it was a society with slaves. By the 1700s, it was a slave society, meaning that the dominant form of labor on the plantations was slave labor. And that transition was really a response to Bacon's rebellion, because indentured servants came over from Europe, particularly England or the United Kingdom, and they were promised that if they worked on the land for a landowner, that they would ultimately become free, and in becoming free was the expectation of land. And because of that, with a lack of land in this case, that meant that you had the potential of rebellion. And the move to slavery was the move to a form of labor that, of course, never had to be freed. And so as a result of Bacon's rebellion, you see a transition in the Chesapeake colony of Virginia away from the use of indentured servants towards, this is of course 1676, towards the usage of slaves more commonly. It's not an immediate shift. It happens over many numbers of years, but it's really a transition point away from a period in which you have a society with slaves, meaning that slaves were an aspect of the labor source, to a slave society, a society in which slavery was really the dominant labor force. And that, of course, held tremendous ramifications for the future of colonial America and, of course, for the United States. All right, email that factoid to me, the gist of it. No later than Wednesday by midnight, get your one of hopefully many bonus points added to a test score by the end of this term. Have a great week. I'll look for you in the discussion forum, and I'll be interacting with you, so hopefully folks will be responding to me too. Let's have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions.